Hello, my name is Jimmy and this is the 2023 Mercedes Benz EQS 580 4MATIC SUV. What does that all mean? Well, it's based off of the EQS, the electric platform that underpins this, the EQS, the EQE, the EQE SUV, as well as the EQS AMG. And they all look kind of similar. But let me tell you everything you need to know about this, what we have here, the 580, and well, we'll start off with the looks. On the front end here, it's very typical Mercedes. You got the digital light LED headlamp system, which not only look beautiful, but they also give you a cool kind of welcome when you start up the car. You also have this full grille with a billion, okay, maybe not a billion, but there's a lot of these Mercedes emblem in here. Speaking of the emblem, if you want to show off your EQS SUV a little bit more, for an extra 250 Canadian dollars, this can be eliminated if you're into that. But if not, you still get a lot more Mercedes emblems right here on these plastic covers on the left and the right, because nothing says luxury like Mercedes, right? On the side here, we got these 21-inch wheels with these aero covers on them. They actually look kind of cool. It says EQS right here on the side, just in case you forgot what this vehicle is. Unlike the EQS sedan, which is very egg-shapey, this is a little bit fatter on the back, not as much egg shape. But what I do like is you do get proximity door locks on the front and the rear. And with these pop-out door handles, while functionally they're not as like just normal as normal door handles, they do look cool. Around back, well, it's just kind of rounded because the whole vehicle is, you got this entire width of LED light bar. It's absolutely beautiful. I love how much detail is within the taillight itself. EQS 580 4MATIC, Mercedes emblem in the center, and of course you can't forget about the kind of faux exhaust on the bottom. Is it the best looking electric SUV? Well, hard to say. The iX is actually quite quirky and some people really don't like it. The Rivian looks quite cool, the R1S, but you can't really get that just at the time of filming here in Canada anyways. What else is there? The Hummer SUV that's coming soon, that's kind of cool, but I mean, kind of on a different scale, especially when it comes to this badge. So let me know what your thoughts are on the styling in the comment section down below. If we pop open the trunk here, we see 23 cubic feet of space, which is, while the number might not seem like it's that big, it actually is quite generous. You can fit a full-size stroller lengthways in here with no issues, cooler on the side, and even if you don't have a stroller or don't need one, you can fit a set of golf clubs in here with ease. There's plenty of space. And what's more is, well, there's a little bit more storage underneath. Pull this cover back and you get a deep storage here on the left, great for watermelons, which I've been using lately. And you can lift it up for, well, some more storage. The cables are there, your fix-a-flat kit. It's actually a very usable space. And what I like as well is this tonneau cover. If you don't need it, you can drop it down into the vehicle itself. There's no need to throw it away or anything like that. And the back seats, they fold down 60-40, so you're able to carry longer items as you need. But let's check out those rear seats. All right, the back seat of the EQS 580. Headroom plenty, legroom plenty, superbly comfortable in here. And because, well, it's a little cooler today, I can even turn on my heated seats on the side to make it just a little bit extra special, just a little bit more. In front, I got this amazing tablet that's really stuck on. It's part of the premium rear seat package, but I can control a lot back here. Navigation, I can see information about the vehicle, how much charge we have left, because that's definitely very important for a rear seat passenger to control, along with like ambient lighting and a whole bunch more. This, very feature packed. But not only do you get this screen in front of the driver's side or behind the driver's side, and you get one on the passenger side as well, you also get one in the center. Because if you're not carrying anyone in the middle, you get this Samsung tablet. With a press of a button, that ejects out, so you can actually use it for tablet things if you wanted to. I mean, is this the coolest tablet? Probably not. But at least you get an additional set of controls. So you don't have to reach out like some pleb. You can just, well, have it on your lap as you click around and change the settings as you need. And of course, this is so much more than just a place for your tablet. In the center, you also have Qi wireless charger, which is great. And in here, you got your cup holders. Well, first it's kind of like a phone holder, but if you click it one more time, they're cup holders. Love it. Very feature packed, as you might expect with a high-end EQS product here. However, if you're not so much using this for adults back here and using it for kiddos, I am a child passenger safety technician, and I'm certified to put these child seats in the car. On the driver's side, this is a collect lane infant seat. I was able to put this into the car with ease, no real issues here. And in the middle, I have another collect lane. So yes, I am able to fit 3 car seats wide. On the passenger side, this is a collect fifth in rear facing. The only thing I would say is, depending on the seat that you have, you may want to opt out on this rear seat entertainment package, because this just gets in the way. You lose a couple inches of space here, which is quite crucial for car seats. In terms of lower anchors, there's a set on the driver's side and a set on the passenger side. Both are very easy to access with this cover here. The cover is a little cumbersome because it may get in the way depending on the seat itself. For example, on the Ling here, I just didn't use the lower anchors. I just went with a seatbelt method as it was just easier. And there's 3 upper anchors behind the seats themselves. But I do have to mention the middle seat here. If you're putting a forward-facing seat, do make sure it fits, because this headrest is not movable. Or, I mean, it's movable, not removable. So if you have it on the seat back, this props out and may interfere with the seat. And if you have it up, well, it's even worse. So do make sure of that before you put any passenger seat or child seat into the center here in forward facing. But let's move up to the front. All right, the front seats of the EQS SUV. Headroom, plenty. Legroom, also really, really good. These seats are superbly comfortable as well. They're heated, they're cooled, and massaging. So you get all the options you would like. And if I want to mess around with the passenger a little bit, I can. Because I can push forward that passenger seat with my controls here on the side. So I can fold whoever's in the passenger seat. They're probably not going to like that, but at least it's something I could do for fun. In front of me, pretty typical newer Mercedes steering wheel. I'm not a big fan of these because these touch buttons don't work as well as you want it to. Like going up and down the volume knob and controlling all the screens, it's quite a bit to do. However, they do work. You just got to get used to them. And over time you will, then it's not too bad. Behind, digital cluster as you normally would get. It's quite customizable. There's quite a bit that you can kind of change within it, and it's very flashy. I mean, anyone getting into this vehicle is just going to be wowed by this hyper screen. 56 inches of screen. It's quite crazy. But before I get to the main screens here, you do get a really good heads-up display as well. And there's quite a bit you can configure on there. And even like your turn-by-turn navigation within CarPlay shows up on that. So love the heads-up display. Infotainment, it is this big screen here in the center. There's so much you can do inside. There's so much in terms of like the menus and whatnot. I've been using CarPlay mostly, which honestly works well. I don't have to be like really doing much in it. And because it is like an OLED screen, the contrast of it's just amazing. It's beautiful to actually look into as well. The only problem is, like, for example, I'm listening to my music. I'm playing something right now and I want to go to the next track. For a lot of vehicles, you have, well, some sort of next track button, but in here, you don't really. You do have one here on the bottom, but you don't get that on the steering wheel, and there's no physical buttons in the center neither. So, I mean, if you want to keep your hands on the wheel, you can go to the next track, but like, it's not as easy as you think. Because you move this cursor left and right. And when you do, you can go to the next track and then you press the button to get to the next track. Like, it all sounds pretty normal and simple to use. And now it's playing other stuff, which I can't stop because I can't do that on the steering wheel. It's a little frustrating, just a little bit. But, I mean, it's one of those things. Once you get used to it, it shouldn't be that bad. And if you have a passenger, they can really help out because the passenger side gets a screen as well, and they get all the same controls. Climate control, audio control, all that can be controlled on the passenger screen. So I mean, if you have a co-driver, they can manage all of that. You don't have to worry as much. I guess that's a good thing. You do get your cup holders here in the center, Qi wireless charger, and there's a bunch of USB-C charge ports. There's 2 in the middle on the bottom shelf here, and you get 2 more within this big cubby here in the center. So there's enough USB charge points for all your devices, and there's even more in the rear. Honestly, it's a really nice place to be. There's a bunch of stuff that's in here that I really do like. However, for someone maybe that's a little bit older or someone that just loves physical buttons, they may not love this interior as much. For example, even the iX, while everything is still on a screen, it's just more normal looking with kind of this panoramic screen in front of you. Whereas this, I'm not too sure on it just yet. I'm not quite sold on this. On the base EQS, you can get it without the hyper screen. So you still get a digital cluster, and then you get this screen right in the center that's similar to like the S-Class and the C-Class, as well as the upcoming E. But this, with the hyper screen, looks amazing, wows your friends, but may not be as intuitive as some may like. But before we go for a drive, let's talk about the powertrain. This being the EQS 580, it has a 108.4 kilowatt hour battery with dual motors, 536 horsepower and 633 pound-feet of torque. You can also get the lesser EQS 450 that makes 335 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Both vehicles have a range of 459 kilometers or 285 miles. Now, what do all those numbers mean? Pretty quick acceleration, as I will now demonstrate. I'm glad there's a pillow here for my head. Yeah, it's quick. It's an electric SUV, so obviously it's quick. I mean, what electric SUV out there is slow? Okay, maybe like the MX-30, but we'll gloss over that. This is a much higher scale than that. It's superbly comfortable because it does have air ride, and I mean, it's like floating on a cloud. Maybe too soft of a cloud. You can stiffen things up. You can have it on individual or sport mode with this dynamic slider right here in the center. And I love individual mode because I can set the parameters I want. Like the throttle mapping, I have it as sporty as it gets. Same thing with suspension. I want a stiffer ride because I don't like that floatier ride. However, if you're carrying kiddos and whatnot, you may want that. So you have the ability to switch as you like. But even in a sportier driving kind of mode, it's still, well, relatively heavy SUV, and you certainly feel that around the corners. It sadly doesn't help because I have winter tires still on this press car, and it's currently the beginning of June. Other than today, which has been cloudy and rainy, it's been quite warm, and these snow tires have not been the best. But even with the snow tires, which generally creates a little bit more noise in the cabin, it's been superbly quiet in here. Like driving around town, even on the highway, it's superbly quiet. And that's what I do like about the EQS SUV here. I mean, the EQS sedan did basically the same thing. Just a superbly quiet cabin. It's a serene place for you to be. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with it. Like on the highway, you can turn on all the adaptive cruise control and the lane centering, and it can basically drive itself. So it's comfortable, it drives kind of by itself, and it's, well, just a really nice place to be. There are some downfalls though. You can't really have your seating position the way you want. And the reason is there's sensors on the top of the screen here. And if them, like, they can't see your eyes, they'll be like, move the steering wheel or your seat until you can. So right now, this steering wheel is a lot higher than I generally like. And because of that, it's just awkward to drive because it feels just too high for me. I can't have the driving position I want because of the darn sensors that it has. If they put those sensors on the bottom of the steering wheel, things may be a little bit different. But sadly, it is what it is. Overall, I mean, this EQS SUV is quite fantastic. But what about the price? At 180,000 Canadian dollars, it's quite a bit. A base EQS SUV is 140,000 Canadian. So there's actually a decent range for you to choose from powertrain to options. So you can spec it the way that you like, and you may not want all the things that this example gets you. One thing that this one is lacking is just a better headliner. This feels so just pedestrian compared to like the Alcantara headliner that you can get. But I think that's additional like $2,000 or something like that. It's not cheap. But it's a Mercedes after all. When is it ever cheap? When is it ever like a budget vehicle? For the brand, for what you're paying for, I think it actually suits it quite well. I mean, it's very similar in price to the GLS, which is kind of similar, but it's more similar to like the GLE because well, even if you do get that third row, it's really designed for smaller people, not like taller people like the GLS can. I'm kind of indifferent about this vehicle in general. I feel like just for me, I mean, I don't make that kind of money to even consider this, so maybe it's, you know, just my head and kind of how I would think about it. But it's not really for me. But what about for you? Let me know in the comment section down below. Would you pick this over like the iX or the Rivian R1S